Hello, my friends. How are you today? My name is Natasha. I am the creator and the founder of the Glow Method, and I'm so freaking excited to be here with you today. Oh my goodness. So today is one of those days, like my thoughts about what to talk about here today were rapid fire, but then I sat down and I'm like, which one am I going to choose? What am I going to talk about? Like when I did my outdoor walk today, I was like almost talking to myself. I was like, yeah, and this. And I had this whole thing. And if I had my camera with me, I would have just stopped right there and then and been like, this is so good. But quite honestly, I've forgotten like 90% of what I was saying. I was like, what was I even going with there? Like, what was it? It was like suddenly I got home and I have like amnesia. And then I came home and one of my sons needed my help. So again, you know me, that's my Achilles heel. Like everything else goes on hold. So, and then I needed to like switch my laundry, all these other distractions came in the way. And don't you find that like sometimes like you have the best of intentions and life just lifes. And I really have been thinking a lot about this thing. Like if we do not plan our lives, somebody else or something else is going to plan it for us. And so really being intentional, what we do with our time really maximizes this empowering ability to define a life that we're proud of, right? Because everybody else is going along their life, trying to survive, doing the things that they want to do, relying upon your help or your input or your critique or whatever it is. And you think, oh, this is just going to take a second. Oh, it's just going to do this. Like, I'm going to just hop on Facebook for a second. I'm just going to do this for a minute. And suddenly hours, minutes, days, months, years have been hijacked from you. So, one of the things to talk about, this was not the thing I was thinking about on my walk. Actually, I kind of know some of it, but I'm like, I feel like I was saying it so good then. I'm like, okay, I don't know. But since we're on this subject, like I really, really, really have been thinking a lot about like, what is the difference between when we are getting something done and when we start something and stop something and then we start it again, like whether it be like a diet or, the desire to meditate or, maybe it is making your bed, whatever it could be for you. You make this decision like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show up as a person who makes their bed every day. Like that is like something I want to try and do. If I don't like it, I could quit, right? Like there's no like anybody like, no, you started making your bed every day 2 months ago. This is just the way it has to be for the rest. No, you are the determiner of that. If you feel like, hey, like I felt like as a kid, like this is a waste of time. I don't need to do this. If you have your own reasons, those are cool. Like you are meeting you where you are in your lifestyle and what works for you. Like no judgment. Just because I make my bed and you don't, I'm not like, yeah, no, you're less than me or anything like that, or this is despicable. No, I just find for me having that kind of win, having that kind of setup, having that amount of consistency, it's just flexing and using that muscle. I was talking to somebody about how I was so stunned about how quickly the muscles atrophy, but takes so long to build. And this one trainer was telling me, yeah, it's about 3 days of not using a muscle and it begins to atrophy. And I'm like, wow, that is just crazy. And so, that just goes to show like when you have a habit and when you have consistency, it's a good baseline to build upon. But when you start to backpedal, it's like you really do have to really build up. You don't get to just start back where you ended. And, again, I proved that last week that like, despite how being athletic I am, despite how being, how frequently I exercise because it brings me personal joy, I feel relief, I meet my personal goals. Like it has this multifaceted thing. I'm helping my health, all these things because I do it so frequently. I thought, maybe I would get by with not doing it a week or two. Yeah, wrong. Just wrong. And even if you're still moving, just all those fine little muscles that go into dancing and extreme workouts and things like that and running and all those things, they quickly leave, which again takes me to the young man who I know. And I just have to always shout out because like he is such a prominent reminder about just the gratitude, like having gratitude for what you can do. I have such an immense sympathy, empathy for their entire family, because this injury is not just end on him. It impacts all of his family, all of his friends, all of his community. And of course it impacts him the most, but it doesn't mean that we are all not still thinking, praying, and even inspired by him. You know, my son has faced a few setbacks, and he is still not able to compete this weekend, as he had really said, as like that was the outcome, like here's where he was, and his goal was really to make it to be able to even compete for 10 minutes at this tournament. And he cannot compete at all. He will go, but he is not able and just not quite ready to compete yet. And, you know, he really thought about it, and he was disappointed, and he was sad, and he's worked really hard, and he has been at every game and every practice, and he sets up equipment. He goes and scouts other teams. Like, he does everything to be a team member on that team, but yet he cannot touch foot on a field. And so that has a frustration, right? However, he himself was like, you know, Mom, at this ending stage, it's really difficult because I feel good most times and I really want to play. Like, I miss it so much. But I remember my friend, and I remember that, you know, the distance between when he is going to be able to play, if he can play again, is really, really grand. And where mine is really, really small. And so while I may not be able to be on the field, I really am focused on and grateful for all the things I can do. I'm no longer on crutches. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm, you know, able to walk and run, and maybe it wasn't at my pre-injury level quite yet, but I'm really doing everything I can to build myself up to be that person that is there. And so, you know, for me, that just gives this, it's such a reminder that even this morning during my morning meditation, I decided to focus on gratitude. And I was just like, hey, body, I am so grateful for you that even when you're sick and injured and tired, like, you show up for me. When I don't want to show up or I'm asleep, you are still working and doing your things. And you give me this opportunity each day to move my body in these fanatical ways. You know, you put one foot in front of another, and I'm so grateful for that. And you like breathe, and I don't even think about it. You're just defaultly breathing and blinking and doing all the things in life, and processing food and doing all these. And I was just like, I'm so grateful for something that I'm so often just take for granted that it's going to be there. So again, a huge part of this journey for me has been, why I've talked about a lot, is really honoring the losses that have not only been in my life, but have impacted my life because there's somebody else's losses. And those losses are a reminder of all the gains I have and all the wonderful, amazing qualities that my life does have, even if there are some things that are challenges at a time or perhaps forever, you know. It is really important for me to express that one of the key components of the Glow Up Method is gratitude. It is appreciation for exactly where you are today. It is appreciation for your journey, even through the trials, even through the adversity and the challenges and the things that you wouldn't even wish happened to your worst enemy, that you've had to endure and overcome and hear and face, that you are still here. You are still willing to even consider that your life can be different, and that even though your life has been crazy and hectic and has had trauma or tragedy, or you're perhaps going through those things right now, you can still craft a life that makes you happy. You can still find gratitude in the most basic things. You can still look around and find kindness and love, and you can share that with others. You can share the love inside of you that maybe sometimes is like a chip on the shoulder, like, right? Like, sometimes some people process things differently, and, you know, they take it and they're angry and they maybe feel negative, and that exudes from them. And that's okay. That's who you are. Like, that's where you are now. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Like, you can choose a different way. Like, I chose to be a morning person. I chose to be an intermittent faster. I chose to be a dancer. I chose to be a runner. I chose to be a meditator. I chose to be a YouTuber. I chose those things. I wasn't always that way. And I'm not always that way. Like, my default settings are still in there. And I just now know that they don't win the conversation. Those default settings do not define the way in which I show up every day. That default setting person that knows I can lay in bed all day and I don't need to make the bed. Like, that person is still in there, and they never go away, but they are like, now their voice is just not the overwhelming narrative that's in there. And so I get to choose, like, if I want to not make my bed that day, I don't have to. Nobody's going to punish me. You know, like, there's not like a consequence beyond to myself. But I want to do these things. And so I do them. And again, like I said, there were days that I left and I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't make my bed. Like, because it just wasn't a habit yet. There are days, I think today, I grabbed it with my left hand, but I think I pushed it with my right. That's okay. It's not in the perfection. It's not saying, okay, from here on out, I'm going to do this perfectly and it's going to go well. Yesterday, I decided my kids were eating really late. I wasn't hungry, but I loved the smell of the food they were making. I was curious about the meal. And so I just said, hey, forget it. I don't really care that it's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm eating. Like, my stomach afterwards was like, hey girl, you weren't hungry and you ate a lot. And I was like, see, you don't have to be hungry to eat, guys, you know, but I ate with them. We did our Swedish, finally, and Saudi Arabian taste test because I brought goodies back from both. But it is such a rarity to get all four of my kids in the same house at the same time. They have been so busy in different countries, different states, like, just healing, like, it is really challenging to do so. So we all sat down in there. We had all these treats and goodies. One of them were gross. I was like, I'm literally proud to be an American for my American palate taste. Was like, I don't know, like, it had some spices in there. Like, this is candy. I was like, I don't know about all that. But, you know, so it was fun to, like, experiment, like, oh, this one was good, you know, and try different things. And, you know, we were all giggling and laughing. And so it was nice to have that kind of unity and experience together. I really, really, really appreciated that. And, you know, I was off. One part of it, I'll get into it, is, you know, when we go back to planning our own life. Again, like I said, I have, you know, a plan. This week, I'm deciding to be really, really nail in things and not just be kind of generalized where it's like PT, dance, and I've got like 10 things on the calendar for the entire week. I'm trying to really nail it in and put in there, like, here's my magical morning, you know, here's when I'm going to do my class, here's when I'm going to dance, like, here's when I'm going to run. Like, I really am trying to get specific because I do find that, like, my focus and my time management sometimes can use a little tweaking. And in order to achieve what I want to achieve, that recapturing that time that's lost, that I allow other people to make the plan for me because I didn't simply make a plan, you know, whether it be Facebook or my kids or Chris or, you know, whatever it is in the world. Having that down has allowed me this place to be more productive, which makes me feel like I am very excited because I think there's like 12 days until launch date. And guess what? As I put it in the calendar yesterday, it was just like, duh, it was always there. It was always there. You would not believe it. And you know how I feel about this. I've been very, very clear. The day I'm choosing to launch is a Monday. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way. Like, this is, like, it was always here. This is what it was always meant to be. And so I'm like, this is just, I can't even, like, this is beyond for me. So, like, that just took something really cool to, like, the umpteenth level, you know? I actually tried to, like, look at the numbers. Was there anything, like, symbolic about the numbers? And I was like, okay, well, like, 2024, like, if you got 2 plus 4, that's 8, and I'm gonna be 48. So maybe there's something there, you know? Like, my birthday just happens to be, you know, a double digit kind of day or whatever, like in the, you know, it's 2 days in a row or whatever. The same, not 2 days in a row, but it's the same number twice in a row. So I'm super excited about that because I love that kind of weird stuff. I know it's so weird, but whatever, I like it. And so, you know, really trying to take the time to do that. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to create some type of productivity calendar or something for you that will allow you, if you can't like me, if you can't get in there and, or like be specific, go like how I did it for the last few months. Like when I began doing a calendar for myself and putting things for myself, it felt very weird. It felt very selfish. It felt very, like greedy. It felt so dirty and wrong to like put in there self-care Sunday. It was like, I'm scared. Like, can I put this? Should I erase it? Like, wait a minute, I put too many hours. Like, what is this? And it was like, no, damn it. Like, we are not doing this anymore. Like, not only do you deserve a seat at the table, you don't have to take the hard chair all the time. Like, you're like, oh, I'll just sit over here in the hard one and everybody else can sit in this soft one. Like, no, I am entitled to the moments of my life too. I am entitled to do something for me. I am entitled and worthy and deserve, just as much as you do, a seat at the table. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's my table alone and this is my world and everything. No, I just want to be an equal player at the game. I want to be at the table. And nothing, like not your creed, not your color, not your financial well-being, not your education, none of that makes a difference. You deserve a seat at the table. I deserve a seat at the table. And I'm tired of always pushing away the thoughts and the things that my default setting sets into me, that says I don't deserve my own time, that says, oh no, I don't deserve a seat at the table. Like if I have a seat at the table, that is just so like selfish, like I'm a greedy person, like I'm not nice. Like, but why is anybody else more deserving of a seat at the table than me? Like, why? Like, give me a valid reason. Like, this is what I have to say to myself, like nowadays, and to really solidify that, oh yeah, this is true. Like there isn't an argument to that. You do deserve it. You work hard. You're a good person. You spread joy. And even if you don't do any of those things, you still deserve an equal seat at the table, period, bottom line. And for me, it just felt so like indulgent and greedy and every kind of negative thing that I wanted to show the world that I'm not these things. Like I am generous and I am kind. That's what's in here. And if I take this seat at the table, the two can't be the same. I cannot be generous and I cannot be kind if I'm greedy and selfish. And did I think that other people sitting at the table were greedy and selfish? No, but there were times I resented them. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that I was like, well, why did they get to sit? Like, I'm tired too. Like, I stood here cooking the meal all day. First off, by the time I sit, there's only scraps left for me. And I'm like, forget it, so I think that really coming to terms with that, and I've been thinking a lot about my friend at the gym, who was the other tall girl. And, she's like, no, I always stand here. I feel bad to get in the way. And if you don't want to go there and you feel bad about it, like, you don't have to. But if you're only choosing to not stand there because it conveniences somebody else, that's the problem. Like, that's the problem for me. That was it. It was like, no, I can't. I'm going to save it for somebody else. Yes, I know I'm here first. Yes, I know this and this. But you know what? I'm going to save it for them. And I'm not saying that there aren't times that I go and I stand in the area I like, and I look over at my friend who's behind me, and she's about this tall, and I'm like, it just feels good to be like, girl, you go up here. Like, I can see right over you. Like, it's nothing. But that comes from like a genuine, heartfelt place. It's not this place where I feel like I have to. I'm a bad person if I don't. How dare I stand here? No, I deserve a spot where I want to be too. Just because I'm tall or just because I'm this or that, it doesn't mean that I'm forced to another place. And I think that I have taught myself, and my environment has taught me by default that was the case. I was a kid. I was to be seen and not heard. And when I was to be seen, it was to be doing only the right things. And it was a very transactional type of love, right? Like my job is to protect people. My job is to do things. So if I'm protecting them, I can't always protect me. And that came really to play as I've reminisced back and healed from when I was molested as a child by a family member, and thinking about how I still was more interested in protecting that person and what they were doing than advocating and protecting myself. And so I allowed the abuse to continue for a really long time. And there were parts of me that almost like felt comfortable in the abuse, even though there was this confliction in my mind. And I was like, this is so wrong. This is so disgusting. Like all these things. But I just felt good because I was protecting somebody else, that I was helping them, that I was allowing them to be happy. So if they were happy and they were protected and they were fulfilled, that in some weird way, then I was too. And it just was such it's a very strange thing to live your life fully on the expectations, the caregiving, and the prioritizing of other people. And now, like thinking about it now, like, wow, there were so many opportunities to change that I just didn't know existed. But I know now. I know better. I know more. And I am happy to share that wisdom and knowledge that I've gained only through the experience of my journey. Like, none of it up until this moment would I change, because everything exactly has happened the way it's meant to happen. Again, I've been thinking about, as always, the young man who is currently, dealing with his own, disconnection between his body and mind due to the injury. And so he's unable to move a lot of things, but he did get to brush his teeth today. So I'm like, hell yeah. Like, this is progress. It is not about perfection. It's progress. It's celebrating those little wins. Like, he freaking brushed his teeth, like, on his own. That's gotta feel so good, right? Like, that's something we all do. We don't think about unless I'm using my left hand, like, it's just something we take completely for granted. And yet there's somebody in this world, and probably a lot of people, that are like literally like celebrating. This is the best thing that happened to them all day. And, so I say all that to say, like, I think about them too. And I think about my situation with my kids. And I had a dear friend who told me once, when I was in the midst of my son going through his treatment for the brain tumor, she told me, because I wanted to take the blame. This is all my fault. I created them. I made them in my body. If there's anything wrong with them, it is my fault. Like, I didn't protect them. I didn't get them to the doctor soon enough. I didn't literally create them properly. I malfunctioned. Like, I am over here playing God in my body, which, again, this is all happening naturally. It's not like I have any say or do beyond what I put in my mouth or what activities I do. But I like, everything that has come up for them in their life has been a representation of my failures. Like, I didn't make my son's heart correct. I did not make my son's brain correct. I did not make this child's mental health correct. I did not make this child's immune system and eyes correctly. Like, all of their troubles were some way in my body for so long my fault. It was my wrongdoing. And in a way, it made me sick, because I felt like they were being punished for my mistake, for me not making them correctly. I obviously know this is not true now, but this is genuinely how I felt. And I just, again, that also compounded on why, I'm putting all this pressure on myself, and I'm trying to advocate for them. And in the background, I'm just beating myself up, tormenting myself. Like, I did this wrong. You're a bad mom. Can't even make a kid correct. Like, these are the conversations going on in my head. And, eventually my friend had given me one of the best gifts of my life. And I was like, it's just my fault. Like, I messed up. I literally, this conversation happened right out there, and I can go right back to it at this very moment. And she was like, I messed up. She's like, no, like, you got it all wrong. You didn't mess anything up. Like, you are perfect exactly as you are. Like, whatever you believe in, if you believe in the God, universe, whatever it is, specifically chose those kids for you, because you were the only one that was able to perfectly help them. And, it was just this, like, poof, this different view that I just didn't see. And for a minute, I kind of, like, questioned it. It just seemed so off. Like, it seemed so natural to accept responsibility and to blame myself, that seemed okay. But to hear that, like, oh, wait a second, like, I am special. I have these really unique skills and gifts, and I can actually help make their lives better. And that's the reason why. And it just gave me some weird sense of peace. It gave me this permission to pause and be like, oh, wait, like, I'm literally the chosen one. Like, I am not being punished, and they're not being punished. This is a gift. Like, and I, with my gifts that I personally have been presented on this earth with, can best help them. And there was something so magical about that again, it's one of those other things that, like, is like a pillar of, like, it gives me a pillar of strength. And so I say all this to say, the family that is enduring this, I have a lot of connections with. We both have 4 kids. They have 3 boys. They have 1 girl. Our dynamics and birth order is slightly off, but there is a lot of similarities. 2 of their kids and 1 of our kids are in the same grade. One's in the same age frame. One, my son's a grade older than their son, but they're the same age. They've played, sports together for almost their entire lives. So like we have and I have an older one and they have a younger one. So like there's, the two that are off, but like, I say all that to say, their family too has been no stranger to adversity. Actually, some of the same things that I've had, and even some different ones, and obviously some more extreme and everything. So I have this thought, and I think about them often, and I could just sit back for a moment and imagine, like, having been in so many different hospital settings, I can imagine the exhaustion. I can just imagine. I can close my eyes and I can go right back there. And I get a smile though every time I think about how much they've had to endure, but I think they were exactly chosen. Those kids were chosen for those parents because those parents could handle it. And I don't know, it just gives me a sense of like everything is going to be okay. So again, we don't have control over what's going to happen. This young man went to a religious camp, walked into it, did not walk out, and has not walked since. It's been a little over 2 months, and this is the new experience. We can't predict or know what's going to happen. However, we can plan for things. We can empower ourselves to live the life we want to live. And it's got to start small. Like I said, if I ever tried to take on what I do today, when I started this journey, listen, I'm out. I would have been out after 3 minutes. Like, it would have been like, I would look at it and be like, oh, hell no, I can't do all these things. You need to build up. It takes a long time to build the muscles, which is what the consistency is all about and the discipline is. But it will quickly atrophy. So you need to keep building. And if it does, it doesn't completely go away. You start, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's not going to be completely where you started unless you just completely abandon everything. But make a start. Like, what can you commit to today for 15 minutes? Is it a 1 block walk? Is it a meditation? Is it, to investigate intermittent fasting? Is it to, ask yourself, what is it you want to do with your life? Is it, filming a podcast? Is it writing a book? Is it reading a book? Is it sitting in the sun and doing abso-frickin-lutely nothing? Is it staring out your window and watching the rain? Is it listening to the birds? Like, I don't know what it is that will, give yourself permission to say, it is not selfish to do this for me. So I'm asking you to spend 15 minutes today to think about what it is that you want to do with your life and plan for the next week, 15 minutes a day, and like literally plan it. Like, put it in your calendar and say 7 to 7:15 a.m. That's my me time. I don't know what it's going to look like. You don't have to have it perfectly planned out. An idea of it helps. You're trying something new, right? So you can be like, today I did meditation. I don't really like it. Tomorrow I'm gonna try the thing. Oh, I did like this. I'm gonna try different things. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It is a work in progress. But once you find what you like, make a commitment to that action for 15 minutes a day. and do it. I used to believe like it would, when I started this journey, I was like, oh my gosh, like I had heard it was like 8 days to make a habit stick. And so like when it was like, I was struggling at day 4, I'm like, okay, just 4 more days. Like you could do this. And I think it's like 21 days I've heard so many different things, and I'm sure it's different from me, from you to hear, like everybody's a little bit different. So you got to find, but just know that it is hard. Like go into it knowing this is going to be hard for me to write a 15-minute, like that's a task in itself. Like I said, it was a struggle to put it in the calendar. Then it was, and I was like a stickler about my calendar because I lived on it, getting all these kids to everything. But then also being able to actually have the permission to implement it. And it felt really uncomfortable, and it felt really dirty, and I felt so freaking selfish not being with my kids or being available for my kids for a chunk of time. And over time, I've learned they didn't quite need me as much as they did. Like the world still spun around when I turned off my ringers and they had to go find where the apples were located on their own. They're going to be a-okay. This world will be a-okay as long as you're okay. You need to take care of yourself. So I say all that to say thank you so much for tuning in to me today. And please go out there, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.